Is this for real? I think Amy is supposed to. Okay, we're logged on. Um, I feel like this risks being rather two grandmas chatting, trying to figure out the situation. I've never been live before, under any circumstances. A bit about me. I'm coming to you all live from my parents' home in Ohio. Um, I'm spending quarantine with with my parents, which is I'm entirely too old to be doing that. All right. All right. Oh. Oh my God, this is dead air. This is dead air, friends. All right. Okay. Um, One moment. I see my brother is checking on me, which is upsetting. I feel so vulnerable right now. Hold on. Hold on. I'm trying to. Amy is quite an animating force, as you'll see momentarily. And so I'm trying to get her involved here. Um, no, Amy, don't comment. Get in here.
Am I here?
I believe so.
Oh my God, it's
I was
exciting.
water and it was the deadest air anyone's ever experienced. My apologies to the people of the world.
Hi, everyone. It's very strange because it's not allowing me to see anybody's questions. It's just repeatedly saying go live on Wild's Time. So let me see if I can maybe do it on my. Oh, I'll get off
All right. Well, now I feel as though I've lost Amy. Only I can see the questions. This is a helpful hint. Bonjour la France. Um, oh no, Amy's left the chat. Okay. Well, currently, in the just in the thick of writing season 2. So this is the moment when y'all are buckling down. I love these shout outs from abroad, really, the global reach. And I'm not playing favorites. Hand to God, I'm not playing favorites, but I did spend some time in France. So as a French speaker, I'm les fans qui viennent de la France, special salut. And in the future, I do intend to learn additional languages so I can be a bit more fluent and give special shout outs in native languages. For now, only French. I guess maybe I'll send Amy another request. Hey.
Hello.
Hey, I have intel from one of our fans, our interlocutors here, and apparently only I can see the questions because I'm on the.
I can start seeing them now.
Oh, sweet. Killer.
Okay. Sarah, but I heard you talking about French, so I want to hear all about it.
Oh, did I? I feel like I've either gained some fans or I've alienated people because I did that French is a language that I speak, and so indeed I I have a particular fondness for that particular tongue. So do you want to start by doing like a type 5 about anything in particular, Amy, or do you want to
Sure. One of the things I want to do first is do a shout out to Wyatt and Patty, who are Jamie Tarz's family, one of our amazing executive producers. So I want to say hi to you guys because they're watching and they just watched me be an utter grandma trying to get on this thing. So my apologies.
Oh, I'm having a crisis of age and technology at the moment. It's truly, I mean, I was up very, very early in the morning last week at like 5 a.m. and Mia was on live. And so I just clicked, just flipping in there. And she's just so, quite effortlessly cool. And she's like, just not quite hitting that level. But then I'm not.
Yeah. It's a weird one. Yeah, let's do a type 5. Should we talk a little bit about what are people asking questions about? Because I'm having trouble seeing the scroll happening.
There was a question if the girls will be, all 8 cast members will be back for all 8 characters will be back for season 2, which we can confirm. Indeed.
So almost all. There might be some who have trouble where, there's a lot happening that last. We're definitely going to be on the girls' island. Whether we get to see all of them the whole time, I don't know. You're going to have to tune in to find out that for sure. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it would perhaps be misleading to say that they will all 8 be back in full force at the episode. But we will see that.
Yeah. We're very much I know there's a lot of worry with the boys' island that's potentially out there that you won't get time with with our women, but that is nothing anybody has to worry about. We're very excited about the stories we're going to be telling.
Um, yeah, that's, I know from Twitter that I personally apologize. I'm very quite intermittent with my Twitter. I go in spurts when I usually procrastinate, then I totally go. Um, so trying to be more consistent, but it's I know that there's a lot of questions about season two, and I imagine that there will be casting announcements at some point about um, gentlemen. But the girls are absolutely not going anywhere, and I think Amy and I talked a lot about the emotional primacy, like of the female stories, and so just want to make sure that anxiety relieved.
Yeah, the girls, no matter what, are the heart and soul of the show, and we can't wait to get back to telling stories about women we love and can't stop thinking about and talk about constantly. We're in the writers' room now, and their stories are essential and so exciting for us. And that doesn't mean there isn't room for boys, because I think there is, and that's exciting to kind of flesh out the worlds, but we're really excited. I'm watching myself in stereo, everybody, because I can only see the questions on my phone, and it is literally the most horrifying thing that's ever happened to me to have to see my face twice on Instagram. So my apologies if I just dropped down to the ground and stopped doing this for a second. So
there was a question how we got started in our careers. Amy, I actually don't think that I've heard the thread for your story.
So Darren Star, who created 90210, Melrose Place, Sex and the City, I knew him from childhood. He was older than I was by quite a bit, but I was in awe of him because he was obviously successful in Hollywood, and 90210 when I was in high school was like a huge show for me. And he wanted to talk to me about working at a magazine because he was doing a show that took place at a magazine, and I was in my first job out of college at Vanity Fair. And I wrote him a letter and sent it, not an email, and said, if there's ever an opportunity for me to work on the show, I would love to. And I became his assistant on a show called Central Park West, which didn't last more than a season. But the next show after that was Sex and the City. And Michael Petra King, who was a humongous part of Sex and the City and a humongous part of my career and my mentor, really encouraged me to write and figure out what I wanted from the business. And I wrote, and he was so supportive, gave me notes on the script. And then one of the storylines that I did for my spec script of Sex and the City was Samantha becomes a lesbian, and we used that in the show. And so that was sort of my way in. And I got the support of a lot of really generous writers. And I think that's really the key, and why I love TV so much is it becomes a family, and people are very supportive. It's in the right room. People are incredibly supportive. The work gets better because there's more people involved. So that's kind of my story. That's where it all began. Sarah?
Fantastic. Wait, I am getting a tip to put my headphones in.
Okay.
So I'm gonna
go grab your headphones. I'll try to look at some questions. Gretchen, question: what are the zodiac signs of the Unsinkable Eight? Well, that's a very good question. Some of them we've definitely nailed down, and some of them we have not. Dot is a Cancer. Her birthday is in July. I think that's Cancer as opposed to a Leo. See, I'm very big into astrology, so I should know this, but it's going to take me a beat to figure out who everyone is. I'm getting very overwhelmed by Tony is an Aries. All right, I believe that could be possibly true. She does seem like one. Some of my favorite people are Aries. My dad is an Aries. Sarah Jessica Parker is an Aries, so I love them. Can you lower the volume of the device you're watching on? Well, I'm on headsets, so I think.
I
Oh,
think this
yes,
will
that
this
is much better.
will this help?
Yeah, it really helped. Totally. It's
I
awesome.
don't know how much charge is on this. Um,
Yeah, mine's
uh,
at 0, so we'll see how long I last.
Fantastic.
This is what happens when you go right to the writer's room to this. Your headphones are we're both toast. So
I saw a question about rendering LGBTQ experience and relationships, and I just, that's all a lot of credit due to Tanya Kong, who was a writer on season 1. She so passionately advocated for, um, you know, uh, Tony, not just, we're just accepting that she's gay. There's no coming out story. She's proud. She's not questioning it. And that it meant everything to the show. It really did. So
absolutely.
huge
That
shout out.
was, and that's a real way where you see the writer's room and lots of different perspectives and stories and where people come from really help you shape how you're going to tell story. And it's why, to me, I love writing for TV so much. It's this beautiful realm where lots of people tell stories and you hear lots of point of views, and then hopefully you get to tell a really nuanced story. And I'm so thrilled that people feel we did that well. So yeah, utterly grateful for Tanya. And really just for every writer who comes in and thinks, yes, no, because you kind of bring it all to the table. And with 8 characters to write for, it's exciting to figure out, all these different perspectives about who they are and how people react to them.
Um, so look, let's just tackle this head on. A lot of questions about whether or not Shoni will be um, in season 2.
By the
And
way, we couldn't love that ship name more. I was not expecting that to be how it was. I was thinking it was going to be Shelton. So
yeah, we
thank
all thought it would be, we thought it would be Shelton, which now sounds perverse and dumb.
Yeah,
So
wrong.
you
Just
you
wrong.
guys, everyone has punched up our option.
Yeah.
Um,
So, yeah. So, what do you want to say about the Shoni of it all, Sarah?
oh, I mean, I think that the journey that they take will, I think, challenge people, and there's going to be, I think, a lot of um, pain felt by sort of what happens. But there's also, I think there's so much palpable love between them that that will also be deeply felt. So I think just
Yeah,
like a
to me,
truckload of emotion is coming at you head
I
on.
think
So
that's right. I think it's a truckload of emotion and just the reality of real intense love is intense. And that's no matter if it goes well or badly, it's the intensity of feeling, I think, is something that we can all relate to and kind of get on board with.
yeah, brace yourself,
Yeah.
Erina. She's in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, she is? Oh,
Yeah.
Erna, hi, brace yourself. You're in for some fun stuff. That's the thing I'm most excited for as we're writing, is just to put this in the hands of our actors again, so that they can bring it to life, because I think it's great. I'm very excited for that. I can't wait to all be together again. We need
Um,
season 2 now too. We're ready. We're ready to get going. So
I'm not. I'm
yeah.
I'm not. I'm still writing. Give me some time.
We're
You were
still writing.
saying
We're still
I
writing,
should
so
be
we're not
writing right
quite
now,
ready
I'll
to
write at the
start
same time.
shooting. I know. I'm
Um,
I'm working actually on 205 today. So after we hop off, that's what I'll be focused on. So
I do also need to maybe tip my cap. Do you know that there's a Gretchen Klein actually has an Insta account?
oh my
It's been
God, I love that so
Oh,
much.
she is she's more chaotic on there than I think she is in the show. So
I love it. I
a big
love it.
yeah, she has a she when the island isn't being used for experiments, apparently she rents it out for weddings.
Oh,
Um,
fantastic. It is beautiful. I mean, it
I
wouldn't be
know
a terrible place to get married, I have to say.
it's an investment. She
Um,
has to make it pay. It has to have a
yeah.
return.
There you go. Maybe we'll do like a season 7 that's just all the weddings there. It'll look like a docudrama where we see her planning weddings.
I mean, she does need kind of a fallback plan because the current one is in jeopardy.
Yeah, she's she's not doing great with a shark attack, I can tell you that much. Things are not going her way right now. Yeah. I'm looking at questions, but I just am mostly seeing how much people love the show, and that is like just made my day. My God.
Oh, Marcus has an
Oh,
account as well?
Marcus has an account. I have to say, for me, Marcus, that's one of those things that happens in a writer's room that is truly joyous, where you're just like, there's something fun to be found in this crazy character we're creating. And yeah, he's the ninth. He's the ninth castaway for sure.
Oh,
I'm gonna have
God.
to find his account. And my earbuds just went.
Mine did.
It's not too noisy where I am. Is it noisy? Sorry if it is, guys.
Mine went too. Simultaneously.
We spend too much time in the writer's room with these in our ears, so apologies. How did the idea of Marcus come about? I think that was actually, we were looking at different things that could wash up, and I suddenly realized it would make me laugh to see a male mannequin show up in their midst, and I don't know why I shouted out Marcus. I think would be a good addition, and people were like, Marcus, and I was like, I don't know. And then Sarah so brilliantly wrote that in that Fatten sort of decides to name him Marcus, and she just has a vibe about him. But yeah, that's one of those things where we were just looking through the crazy list of things that wash up on, shores regularly. And that was something. And we tried to buy a male mannequin to bring into our writer's room to have as inspiration. But we couldn't. It was like one of those things where we literally couldn't get it done because it was like somebody was going to have to go down to Chinatown. Do you remember that? To pick it up or something. And then it was very chaotic. So, but we knew we would have a Marcus once we got to set, which was great.
There was a question about this dog, and I have to say, if I were to house animals that were involved in the wild, that dog would be really low. The goat is so magical to work. What a constant expression. That dog was very good. I'm especially I have a dog, right?
Zane, say hi. But that dog was trouble. Oh no.
Are we all gone? Are you still here, Sarah?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to get my AirPods working.
Are we all gone? Are you still here, Sarah?
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to get my AirPods working. Yes. There's a delay. Why is there a delay?
There is a definitive delay.
Audio not good.
I know. I think, and
we're
now
maybe
I think
not
it's
hitting
me.
this out of the park tech wise.
I'm definitely not hitting it out of the park. I'm gonna reserve. I think you might be hitting. Oh, we're back. They're saying we stay on this live. Okay, so we're not as disastrous as I feel we are. This is so sorry. I feel so lame.
The question that I get a lot, which I feel like I keep kicking down the road, is just what my favorite scene to film was. Like, what was the most exciting kind of shoot moment? And for me, I mean, Amy and I kind of traded off in terms of who was on set. So I wasn't there for everything. But the muscle scene, the famous muscle scene in episode 6 was just, the vibe was so like summer barbecue because it was one of the first truly warm days we'd had experienced, and everyone was kind of punch drunk over the material of the scene. I mean, we had shouts to Anna for really going for it. And it was I don't know, it just felt every take was something new. Just a lot of some improv that really both threw me and delighted me. It was just unforgettable.
Yeah, I think I was not there that day because you were on set. The day for me was the big fight that happens at their new beach where Fatten's toothbrush dies, and Leah says, I've never felt more related to a toothbrush. Filming those fight scenes was so fun, where Rain and Helena were, they'd been working with the stunt people, getting that fight together, and just the fun of watching those 3 girls, watching Jenna and Sarah Pigeon and Fatten watch that fight as Dot sort of walked off. For me, that was really one of the most fun. I think really anytime all the women were, together, and now obviously Mia and Erina were off in another scene during that because they rush into it, but just that feeling of like how exciting it was to see. I think, I worked on Sex and the City, and those coffee shop scenes for me were always just such an unbelievable delight to film. And are those island scenes, like the muscle scene, like that fight scene where everybody sort of gets involved and has different points of view. I love those moments. And obviously for me, those backstories, shooting those stories when they come together are so gorgeous, but shooting those is very emotional. Versus the fun of those sort of island scenes with the girls where they're really, the chemistry is just so palpable.
Absolutely.
Rest in peace, toothbrush, amen.
There's a blooper reel. Questions about blooper
I know. By the way, this is something, we have a blooper reel, and I think actually talk about it when we did something earlier, but we gotta get that going. I'm on it today, I promise. Because that's an awesome, it's an awesome thing we put together for the crew at the end of the season. So I'll make sure we can figure out how to get that out into the world, because I think it just shows the fun everyone's having.
Yeah, it's certainly not all fun, and the women will be the first to tell you that it's grueling. But as it goes with anything in life, the rewards are reaped from just digging in and really going through it and taking the challenges that come.
My assistant is actually on this and just told me, don't worry, Post is working on getting the blooper reel so that we can get it out. So real time things happening.
We're moving the needle here.
People. Yeah, we're changing stuff little by little. And that is the craziest part. The beach stuff, those 8 women on that beach in the freezing cold in big jackets with Uggs, and then just ripping them off in character, cold, wet, hot, just delivering day after day. Seriously, like whatever your love is for these actors, watching them on the show, your love for them would be 1,000-fold bring them. Deliver those performances in those conditions, because they were unstoppable. They were the unsinkable 8 over and over again. They really were. I mean, it's incredible.
Is season 2 coming out this year? I don't know if that is something that we know yet.
We don't know. That'll be something that Amazon Prime decides, that their team will make decisions. We're working hard to start shooting, but we're finishing writing. And yeah, but that's something I don't know. I wish I could have an answer to that.
Did all of the girls audition in person? Yes, except for actually not Anna and not Shannon, because they were down under. We did cast them off of off of tapes. Anna was like one of the first tapes that came in, and I was blown away. Like I was like, well, surely we can't find our Tony immediately. Like right, like surely we have to look around and field other options. But then it just never altered. It just she remained at the top spot for the duration of the audition process. Just um, really terrific. Um, Release the auditions.
Oh,
Ask the actors if they how
yeah.
cool they would be at
I
that.
think I'm not sure. I'm sure at some point that's allowed to be done, but I don't know when that. I feel like it should be done like 20 years later. You know, when you see those
Yeah.
auditions of like Vivian Lee in Gone with the Wind, and you're like, whoa. But maybe I don't know. Fave on theory. Well, then I would like to say some of those, but then I'm worried it's going to be like, well,
I
have
have to
taken away a good.
I have to
Hit it,
take one off
Sarah.
the table. I'll take one off the table.
Great, take
That
it off.
because I actually love the thought process of writing
You're
or
frozen.
writing. Oh, me? Shit. Am I back?
No, you're good now. You're good. You're back.
I don't, what do I move it 1 inch? That will crack the case. Um, uh, the I love the thinking behind it. However, was that Tom in The Dawn of Eve is Gretchen's son.
Oh,
Um, and that is actually not true. That's not true. But it's like that's that's some real intellectual like processing there.
and is this better for people noise wise?
That seems better.
Okay, good. I do
Uh-huh.
like that one too. I think that's a cool one. But yeah, I guess take that one off the table because it's definitely not. I hope so. Um,
By the way, I big shout out to Joe Witkowski who plays Tom. It's a small
so
role,
talented.
but he really executes it well. This very kind of simpering, sycophantic suck up. Like if anybody's doing a third or fourth rewatch, just recognize and he was, I think, socially a big sort of part of the cast hanging out. It's really just a really genuinely funny, wonderful guy. So um, hello, Joe.
Hello,
Um,
Joe. Yeah, he's amazing. We talk a lot about Tom and Susan in the writer's room because they do sort of provide that Greek chorus of it all, watching sort of what we're watching, which is great. Sort of tipping the hat to the stuff that's sort of challenging about who Gretchen is and what she's up to, um, while also being funny and giving it stakes, which is amazing. I saw someone say, do you think there's more than two seasons? Yes, I think there's definitely more than two seasons for sure. We have
yeah.
we have clear goals, and it is not to end after season two.
Um, Someone asked me on Twitter, and I just want to take a real quick second to talk about this. It was asking like all of the women on the island are cisgendered, and is was that an oversight, or is Gretchen transphobic? And it's not that Gretchen is transphobic necessarily. It was intentional. It's just she has this experiment is quite like it's reductive in the sense of she has decided to limit the people who are involved in this to this binary. And I think it's probably one of the chief problems in her experiment, because that's not the world. The world isn't binary. So I think in a season 3 and 4, I think when the attacks to her experiment start to become more like intellectual and people start taking this on, I think that's one of the chinks in the armor that she's going to have to answer for. So
yeah, I think that's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she is not the best mom. I think that's true, Gretchen. Someone just wrote that. And I agree. She's probably a tricky mother, for sure.
There was a question about how we chose the music for the show.
So the composer are you speaking specifically about the composed music or the music that we choose? Because they're two separate entities.
Probably the needle drops.
Yeah. Do you want to start, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combo plate. Sometimes Amy or myself or another writer will write in a song. Like, I think in episode 3, there was a Guns N' Roses song that I wrote in. Spoiler alert, the Guns N' Roses songs are very expensive.
Very expensive and hard to get approved.
I would say my music taste is really kind of stale and based a lot in like sort of 90s adult contemporary, like yacht rock, weirdly. Anyway, it's not great. So often we'll talk to our music supervisors who are truly fantastic, just really inventive, Jen Malone and Nicole, and we'll say, we're looking, here's the script, here's this moment, what could we possibly use here to really elevate the moment, and then they'll pitch us tracks and
yeah. I think a great example of how we have ideas or thoughts and then they sort of take those ideas and really elevate them. When Sarah in 106, the song that Leah sort of focused on that Jeff played for her was originally a Talking Heads song, right?
Yeah.
Which song was it? Now I can't even remember.
This Must Be the Place.
Oh, This Must Be the Place, which is a song I adore. But they said, do you want to maybe look at this Robin Hitchcock version of Ghost in You? That's what it's called, right? Ghost in You? Am I making that up? Suddenly. And we just heard that song and it was so evocative and beautiful. And I even had a friend reach out to me who actually knows Robin Hitchcock well and was like, I listened to this. I started listening to the song over and over again, and I hadn't talked to him in 3 years. And I got in touch with him to just say how much I missed him. And I do think that song was like so beautifully rendered for the show. And it just, again, why I think production is an amazing thing. It's this incredibly collaborative effort where each person sort of brings something amazing to the table, and it keeps elevating the work.
Absolutely. I'm taking pitches for just music. Not for the show, but also my own palette. I listen to the same goddamn songs every single time
let us
I
know,
run.
guys, if there's music here.
What makes you feel?
What
makes you feel?
Yeah. I think the amazing thing now with Spotify is that what I love that we were able to use in the show, and Jen and Nicole talked about this a lot, was there isn't a style of music that's necessarily like today, because you can deep dive into so many different genres and worlds on Spotify. So that's also kind of really opened up the musical palette for us in a way that I think has been very exciting.
Yeah.
I love everybody's, like, the things people talk about. Mac Miller, I like him. Sorry, Jenna. I'm just reading through. I like Mac Miller a lot. Jenna said she'll give us her playlist. I love that. Thanks, Jenna. Hi. We miss you guys. This is so funny. I love this so much. I don't tend to do these, so I'm into it. Yes, I've seen a ton of memes and they make me super happy. Um, Yesterday, I saw a bunch of memes about our GLAD nomination that brought absolute joy to my heart. So yeah, I love them. I really enjoy seeing them. It makes me so happy that the audience cares enough to want to create those. The fan art for me, which was something I think Sarah very early on was like, I hope people like the show enough to do that. And I was like, wow, that is a lot of work for people. Will people actually go there? And then it's just blown me away. I mean, that is really sort of what takes my breath away, to realize that people um, love the show and want to create their own art around the show, which is thrilling to me.
There was a question, who was the hardest character to come up with?
That's a good question, Sarah. Hit
Yeah.
it.
Well, it's I don't it's almost difficult to talk about the creations of characters for me, and especially this ensemble. Um, I started with Leah because she's, I guess, an avatar for myself, and then the ensemble, I, really, it kind of, there's like a weird, I don't want to say the word magic because that's not what I am, and it sounds corny. But you just sort of tap into something in yourself, and artists out there will know, like, you just sort of listen to what you're feeling. And then also this ensemble, you know, kind of what notes you need to hit. You need someone soft, you need someone hard, you need someone a little bit simpler, you need someone more complicated, you need a cheerleader who keeps people up like Shelby. You need a short fuse like Tony, and it just sort of infusing those needs into people I've known in my life. It started to kind of just coalesce. Um, Beyond Leah, there wasn't really any. There wasn't really any. There wasn't. I couldn't pinpoint to. I couldn't pinpoint to any one character who was like difficult to kind of bring in, but
It's
so
probably the beginning's always the hardest, I think. Whether it's a finding your, for me, it's like finding that dive in that doesn't feel like you're jumping into freezing cold water. But then you're like, once you're in it, you're like, okay, I got this. It's not as cold and scary as I thought it was going to be. But those first few days for me writing are always, and I always think, well, maybe that'll change or this show will be different. But no, it's always pretty overwhelming for me and fraught with a lot of like, maybe this is the time nothing will come and it's over. And then you start finding things and it gets really exciting. But it is, writing for me is a very scary process. And making sure, especially with a show like this where Sarah built these beautiful, really nuanced, fleshed out characters, like wanting to be sure you're always delivering. Sarah says something really interesting recently to me, like, I just want in every scene to potentially like even reveal a little something new about each of the characters that we didn't know before. So like sometimes you can just sort of lean on like, okay, Fatten's the funny one or Tony's the angry one. But the reality of what people are is they're so complex and layered and you peel back things. And so I always, when she said that, I was like, yeah, that's like, I'm working on 205 right now. So that's my responsibility in that episode to service that idea. And it can be overwhelming, but it's also so exciting when you start to be like, oh my God, I just found that new little gem. That's thrilling. I can't wait then.
yeah, I mean, people are so complicated and very surprised. Even when I was a teenager, I was like, everybody is so absurd, like that you want to make sure you're showing eccentricities and weirdnesses. It's the lifeblood of the show for sure, and just something we always try and reflect. Um, uh, Okay, someone asked what my writing process was. This is arguably dumb, so I'm going to talk about it very quickly. But like, I'm very passionate about my writing process. When you're in the thick of the season, you really don't have time to like really sort of walk around and dream and take your time. So you have to, writing is like a discipline. So I wake up every morning at around 4:30 a.m. because I'm a psychotic and that's where I work best. Um, I put on this YouTube video called something like beta waves or alpha waves, and then I turn on my like internet blocker that blocks all the websites that I need to not go to when I'm writing, and I just put it on for 2 hours, and I just try to go in. You just go in, and it's like it's the least romantic writing process in the world. It's like me sitting there listening to droning music, and really like just going. It's so boring, but that's, I don't know, like that's the discipline. It's almost military.
I
But
have
then
the opposite version, which is I'm not a morning person. So I wake up and don't want to do anything, procrastinate, take walks, look at websites, real estate, whatever I can put my hands on in terms of not doing the work. And then usually at about 2:30, I suddenly find myself in the zone and I'm like in it from 2:30 to 6:30. Um, but the morning, I always try to wake up. I'm like, I'm going to get up at 5:30. I'm going to do this. And then I usually woke up at 7:30 and I am like 7:30 to 9:30 before we get into the room, I'm going to write. And then I'm like, I'm going to write. Maybe I'll take a workout or a walk or a shower. So mornings for me, I really want them to work, but they just never have. I think if in the natural order of things, I would probably write from 3 to 9. That would be like the thing that would make me most happy.
fair enough. Fair. Never the twain shall meet.
Ooh, I noticed somebody said I'm Amy, which made me feel good because I was feeling a little bit like a weirdo loser just then. So thank you. Yay.
No, well, I saw a few people say that 4:30 is their power hour. So
yeah,
look, hit me up.
I'm like, whenever Sarah's like, I'm writing in the morning, I'm like, oh, she's a goddess because I don't know how to do that. I can't. I have no idea.
Was there a favorite character to write for you, Amy?
No, that's a good question. No, I think it sort of depends on what they're going through. I obviously like to write some like the stuff that's funny in life because it's either upsetting or tragic or crazy. And so there's a lot of that for a Fatten in general. I think she tends to sort of hit that humor for me, but I'm also sort of very emotional. So I kind of, some of them are like Leah as a sort of thinker writer is and Fatten, I think, are two of my more easy places to go in terms of my natural like ideas. But for me, that's the fun of having all these other characters is to have to really get into material and access stuff that isn't quite as natural for me. Sarah does a lot of like deep diving on, I now have been doing more deep dives on like TikTok and stuff to sort of find language and ideas and people's visual interests. But yeah, so no, I don't think I have a favorite character. Do you?
Uh,
I love them all. They're like I love them all the same, but differently, I think, the way that you love babies. That's what I've heard. That if you have more than one kid, you love them all equally, but differently.
I need to show my dog again. It's like
baby.
Hey, buddy.
Oh. I feel sad I can't show Maceo today.
I have to leave him for work. But I'm leaving him with my parents, so he will be well loved.
Yeah. I've already left mine for work.
I just want to go on record. Amy writes Fatten. Yeah, just like, you come alive. You come alive when you write Fatten.
In the writer's room when we're pitching ideas, I do somehow feel like I can be in her very quickly, and I enjoy that. But it's that is a fun thing for me. But I think because I come from there's a lot of talk about story ideas and plot, but the best part of the room is when it gets very detailed. And I love that sort of role playing, and definitely Fatten is one of my one of the ones I think I can cosplay well.
Oh, Favor is in the chat. Favor is in the chat.
David Sullivan, welcome.
Salut, David. Uh,
Sarah, do you have a favorite?
to write for?
Yeah.
Oh, they really, it's like group therapy, but alone and with my computer when I write with them, because you're allowed to kind of channel different parts of you. Like there's I mean, writing for Rachel is quite comes quite easily in the sense that she's so ambitious and driven, and that's also it's me. Someone called me a Hermione, and I guess guilty.
I love that. That is the best. That's such a compliment. I can't even. I want somebody to call me a Hermione. I wish.
It's a burden. It's a scourge. So Rachel is really enjoyable. But then Leah, she's long-winded, and sometimes I can be as well. I think she's sort of circuitous and kind of talks and like takes herself to one way, then another way, and do. So that's also really great. Really, I have trouble with economy, and I just go on and on.
Yeah, I like it. Can we make merch? I do. I want anybody from actual Amazon Prime that's on this call, Amazon Prime Video. Yes, can we make merch? We'd like merch. So I'm on record saying, please make some merch. We love that idea. Which episode was the hardest to write? I feel like that's a question Sarah should take, because Sarah does a pass over all of them at the end just to make sure they all feel of a piece. So is there one from last season that felt most challenging?
Well, I think, what was the most difficult? Obviously the pilot. I think because it took me months.
That's usually the one.
It took me so long. It was I enjoyed all of it, but forever. But otherwise, I do think 7, because it was so different, was difficult to write. We weren't doing the backstory of someone on the island, so we had to figure out different transitions.
That's Jeanette's story.
Yeah, Jeanette's story. Lynn's. And then we had to piece the Gretchen moments where we're sort of what she's actually doing, and I've gotten used to writing this show, backstory, post rescue, island story, and then we were sort of in a different zone, so it felt just a little tricky.
Yeah.
But I think it paid off.
And that one was really interesting. Totally. And that one was intriguing, I think, on twofold. One, that was not our original backstory for Lynn. Originally, we had thought she was a kid. And then as we slowly started thinking, like, what would Gretchen be doing to protect herself? She would have had someone over the age of 18 on the island to cover herself legally, so that when the parents came back, it was like, well, they were at a retreat. It just wasn't what you imagined with adult supervision. But that, when we came up with that backstory, that was very exciting. And we came up with it kind of later in the game. Like, it wasn't our first thought for her. And then one of my favorite things, because I remember it so well, is when Sarah was talking about the dream sequence that opens that episode. And I was in New Zealand in the car, and I think you were still at your apartment, and we started trying to come up with a good song. And then when we realized Cake by the Ocean, they're on an ocean and they were fed the cake that drugged them, it was sort of like this perfect, awesome uh, like, oh, we have it, got it. This is like, sometimes those moments really take forever to find, but then when you have found them, you just know it's right.
Yeah, it really came to life.
I'm just watching.
The Gretchen and the shark they're
I
killing
know,
me.
I'm in. I love it so much. Well, that's a
Does
good
the
question.
shark have a name? I think we have not named the shark, but
We
I
have
mean,
not named the
clearly,
shark, but he is
you know,
ruiner of all things calm.
the
I don't know
shark
what
in
else.
Jaws was named Bruce. That's a little FYI.
Is that
They
true?
they called him Bruce on the set.
Oh my
So,
God, I love that. I didn't know that. Well, maybe we do need to give Bruce a name.
well, I think we just asked the shark, "What is your name?" If he's
Yeah.
here, she's here. I don't.
Oh, the shark's here.
They're here.
What's your name, shark? Wild shark, what's your name? Yeah, I see it right there. I'm Charlie. Oh, okay. So
Oh,
Charlie is the name. Love it. That feels right.
done and
That feels
done.
right to me. I like also calling him Mr. Shark. Feels formal and somehow right. All right, I love these. These are so great. The shark is Gretchen's son, which I also think is fantastic. All right. This is fantastic. You guys, I love this, to see everyone and what they're talking and thinking about is really making me very happy.
Yeah.
I definitely am going to need a Charlie Shark meme at some point.
He's been anointed.
Yeah, he's ready for his own. I raised him from the egg. That makes me happy. Yeah. Yes. So what do you think?
Yeah.
I hope we entertained. I don't want to say we did, but we were here for an hour. I don't know if it was a good thing for anybody or a bad thing, but I'm glad we got
It was
to
a
do
little
it.
rocky at first. I knew this would happen. I knew that it would be sort of a bumbling. What is internet? But
I think luckily we got on. Mine just kept rejecting the request, so I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna go take a nap maybe and find out how it went later. But I'm super glad we got to do this.
Thank you all, and really
I know.
just endless
Thanks everyone. This was so fun. Really appreciative.
Let's do it again sometime.
I love it.
Bye.
All right. Bye everyone.